Hola, bon dia. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. Now, my stream feels a bit glitchy at this end. I don't know if you can help me out at your end and let me know if everything is arriving safe and well at your end, technologically speaking. So, yeah, great to be here with you on Consumer Tuesday. I'm going to turn my attention, and yours, hopefully, to some of the stories or articles. You know how I prefer to use the word articles to stories, but some of the reporting and reflection, introspection, international introspection, post-revolution commemoration day, 47 years of democracy in Portugal, of course, since the April 25th revolution, the Carnation Revolution on the 25th of April, 1974. And some very, very interesting insight from the president and also from the Portuguese people, many of whom don't feel like they live in the democracy that they were perhaps promised or were hoping for. So that should be interesting. And of course, just to say this morning, we're in association with Spartan FX, the FX as it should be, foreign exchange as it should be. And you can see there they are winners of the Gold Trusted Service Award from FIFO. And it's very simple to open up an account. So if you've got a foreign exchange transaction or you want to know more about foreign exchange, you want to find a trusted company who can help you with that when you're moving big amounts of money from one nation to another, or one currency to another, certainly, Spartan FX are the folks to go to. Talk to Ben and Sarah there, who join me occasionally on the show here. So today in association with Spartan FX. Okay, let's see who's saying hello this morning, and we will have a quick look at the COVID news. We don't often do that these days, do they? Because I think in many ways it's the water we all swim in, and we've all got our preferred news sources about what's going on. But I guess what's really important here is how the picture is changing in Portugal, such that those who aren't here can make their way here more easily or at all with the way it's been recently. So it's a pivotal date today. There is a big meeting of the big cheeses in medicine and society, epidemiology, etc. And they will be making further pronunciations from today's meeting as we move towards the 3rd of May milestone, which is a big milestone in the deconfinement process. Ian Turner, first in this morning. Hola, bon dia, coffee and a croissant in the village this morning, watching the anarchy that is the school run. Yeah, isn't it much better to be somebody who watches that rather than who's involved in that stomach churning process, as I recall it, trying to get even one child in the car, but let alone, 2 or 3. So you look on, don't you, and you see the parking issues. Possibly you might be watching near the school gates there, Ian. Careful with that. The chaos that can ensue as people are trying to drop their children off for the morning. Sunny intervals through a mackerel sky for you, Ian, in Hertfordshire. Do want to chat to you. Got some exciting. Excuse me. I'm back on the tea, actually. Been off British tea for a little while. I'm back on it this morning. Perhaps that's a reaction there. Great. It would be great to have a catch up with you, Ian. Ian, of course, the architect of the Growing Old Disgracefully program for expats in Portugal. I have a further development I would like to raise with you, Ian, so maybe we can have a chat today. Leslie's here as well. Bon dia from Faro. Sunny with blue skies in Faro this morning. We don't do weather either, do we? So many things that have fallen by the wayside. If there is something that you miss in this steady evolution of the Good Morning Portugal show with me, Carl Munson, for expatsportugal.com, let me know. I mean, do you miss the weather, or are you quite capable of looking out the window or searching the internet yourself? Just Google. Everyone can Google their own things, can't they? But then again, it's nice to have some regular habits and insight into Portugal, which I'm very glad to do for you. So let me know if you're missing anything, or missing anything from the past, or you think there's something we should be featuring that we don't already have. Paul and Louise and Lottie, one of or all of them this morning, Hola bon dia, sat at the kitchen table watching the birds eat all the grass seed. So is that intentional? Is that a surplus grass seed, or are they just taking away the lawn that you've carefully planted outside your window there? Paul and Louise. Mark loves the intro. Good snippets to rural life. Yeah, it's quite central Portugal focused, and that would be, of course, because it was put together by our wonderful friend Peter Wilton Davies, who lives in Castanheira de Pera area, and that is a celebration of lots of what goes on around Pete's neck of the woods. And to me, that is real Portugal, I have to say. Central Portugal carries with it a lot of the great traditions, and obviously, you're going to get those wherever you go in the country, but it's really safeguarded and embedded and protected and celebrated in Central Portugal. So that's what you saw there. A lot of life from Central Portugal, and many of it, much of it, it hasn't been like that, of course, for the last year. So hoping to return to that as a little, almost an instruction manual to life in Central Portugal, our opening sequence. Thank you, Stephen, for your input, and thank you, Mark, of course. Looking good so far. It's good to know, just my end then. And yes, good to be back on the tee. It was beer tasting, of course, yesterday morning. Well, the things I get into with Frank, honestly, being moved on by the police on Sunday and drinking beer for breakfast yesterday, and then my kids burst into the studio. I wish they didn't have to see me like that. Milda, a bon dia alegria to you, Milda, as well. How are you doing? Mark says, yes, it doesn't seem glitchy, but not great picture quality. Yes, I wonder, and there are so many variables in this, aren't there? It could be my end, it could be your end, it could be that the picture quality isn't very good. But thanks, Mark, for that executive production there. Greetings from Paul now, everybody, from Harrogate. Warning, if you think of going to Portugal soon, flight prices are taking off. Cabin to cross-check on those prices then. Yes, taking advantage of demand, presumably, the airlines there. Substantial flight increases on a daily basis as airlines claw back losses. And somewhere or other, I did have a reference to TAP's billion euro plus loss. Incredible, the amount of money that TAP, the domestic, is that what it's called? The domestic airline of Portugal, our own airline here in Portugal. A huge loss. The government have stepped in, of course, much to the consternation of others, but it's obviously seen as a very important part of a nation's economic infrastructure to have its own airline, or an airline serving all the routes that are coming in and out of the country. But the figures are mind-boggling. We might return to that thanks to that particular report that I was looking at, and that's George Branco, of course. 1.23 billion loss. The final quarter of last year for TAP was the worst of all, with losses of 529.6 million euros. That's quite a big loss in a quarter, isn't it? And you couldn't manage that on a domestic level. Good heavens. But then again, I've been told off, haven't I, for making the comparison of household and global and national economics before now. Where are you, Kate? How are you this morning? So yes, be careful with those flights. This is Consumer Tuesday. We do talk about consumer issues in association with Spartan FX here, one of our partners. Find them on the business directory if you're moving big amounts of money, currency around, and for sort of a reliable, trustworthy, and friendly service with those guys. But any aspect of consumerism, any aspect of money, banking, telephones, whatever it is, that part of life, it tends to be our focus on a Tuesday. So if you've got a question about that, Paul, you might like to furnish your comment a little further. I mean, what are those price rises looking like compared to the good old days? You remember when you used to fly to Portugal for a weekend and not think anything of it? Those days are gone. Hopefully. Well, it's arguable. It's debatable, isn't it? I mean, was there ever a good thing, really, that you could get here cheaper than any other way? If you could fly, for the price of a winter coat. No, is that good? You know what I'm getting? You know what I'm getting at. It was ridiculously cheap, wasn't it, to fly around Europe, and that wasn't necessarily a good thing. But a lot of people's lifestyles were premised on it. A lot of you swallows coming backwards and forwards were obviously able to take advantage of that, and it was all part of the picture, part of the formula of your life here, either in UK or Portugal or other parts of Europe, of course. So give us an indication, Paul, of what you're looking at there. No weather report. Yes, we're used to Paul's weather report from Harrogate. But I think he's been staring into a screen all morning, looking at flight prices, perhaps, and not out the window. But maybe you'll let us know, Paul, what the weather's like in Yorkshire this morning. I did enjoy my Yorkshire ale, excuse me, yesterday morning. It was really good. God's Own Country bitter, having a beer tasting yesterday morning. Bon dia from Christina P. Christina P. from Ohio, USA. How are things in your part of the world this morning, Christina P? Oh, lots of lovely comments this morning coming in. Thank you so much. Cloudy with rain. Oh dear. To come. That's in Yorkshire there. So there you go. There's your Yorkshire weather report this morning. Bon dia, Alegria from sunny Brixham. So down south in the UK, sunny in Brixham in Devon there. Did you all see the beautiful full pink supermoon last night? It was 4 a.m. I think. I'm reliably informed, but I wasn't up to see that. But Mrs. M is an astrologer, of course, and she's not a big fan of the supermoons. She's like, this is a bit of a fabrication, a bit of a hype, the supermoon thing. But yes, according to many sources, pink and super in the early hours of this morning. Who saw that? Taurus season is well underway. Do you say that with some Taurian pride there, Penny? Happy to chat later. Coaching this morning, first timing runs of the year. Of the decade for Dwayne. Dwayne Chambers, of course, is somebody who Ian works with. So we're in very good hands with Ian, with our personal fitness there. He coaches the great Dwayne Chambers. So that should be interesting. Good luck with that this morning, Ian. And we'll have a chat later on. Paul and Louise, the birds are eating grass seed. No, not intentional at all. You need a scarecrow, don't you, out there? Or bang on the window. Or a cat? No, no, perhaps not. Thanks for that. All is right with the world now. After we've got the Yorkshire weather report. Hope you're healing well as well. There, Mark in Australia. Do you mind if I call you Mrs. Bale from the old As Time Goes By TV show? As she always entered a room with a weather report. I'm not sure how happy Paul's going to be about being called Mrs. Bale, but we'll see. Louise, hello, Louise. How are you? I like the daily weather. Okay, well, all right. I'm going to call it up and give you a blast, just like the old days when we used to do the weather. And we can go. Actually, tell me which part of the country you're in, and I'll even do you a specific weather forecast for that part of the country. Okay, that's good feedback. Thank you, Louise. Over the Silver Coastway. So I'll find your local weather as well in just a moment. Bon dia, Alegria, trying to be cheery, but my lovely foster dog leaves today en route to a lovely family home in the UK. Oh, what's the dog's name, Fiona? I didn't realise you were going through that difficulty today. Is that something you do on a regular basis? And is that something that others might do here? Is this a thing where dogs stop off at Auntie Fiona's before they make their onward journey, having been rescued, or some such project like that? That would be amazing to know more about that. And so our heart goes out to you. That must be very difficult, Fiona. Being a foster parent to any species, very difficult, obviously. But a silver lining for the fostered in that formula there. So how amazing! And how is that dog getting to the UK? Or am I being too nosy? Picture's fine here on 4G. Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for your input. That's really great. A very interesting topic today, as foreign exchange is something on our mind lately. I'm afraid that's all we've got to say about that, as Forrest Gump might say. I'll find you a link, though, Maria, of one of our Ask Our Expats team, of course, Maria Costa. If you want to know anything about the Tamar area, she's your woman. But if you go to our business director, and I'll give that in the comments now for everybody's convenience and advantage, of course, because many of the partners we have in there give you a bit of a perk or a discount. Always worth telling them where you come from to make sure you get the discount or perk on any of the particular services in the comments. Now, look, there you go, expatsportugal.com/business-directory. You will find Spartan in there. Spartan will be happy to hear from you. Sarah Davey, sorry, I had problems with the link you sent. Happy to join if you receive. Oh, Sarah is here. Fantastic. Okay, so what I'll do is just going to pop that in the comments for everybody. You'll have to beat everyone else to it, Sarah, this morning. So Maria's definitely got a question for you, whether you join me on the screen or not. That's the link you need there, Sarah. So it'll be lovely to chat to you this morning. Let's go back, though, to the comments and see what's happening among Mrs. Bale and all the others there. Maria, yes, wanting to know about FX. Joel's here. Hello, Joel. You do send me some very interesting things, Joel. And sorry that my children phoned you late last night by just messing about on my phone. One of the hazards of the 21st century, of course. I hope that didn't cause you too much inconvenience. Bon dia from a sunny Wiesbaden. and starting the long road to recovery from my knee replacement. We wish you all the best, Jim. Absolutely. Sounds like that's quite a traumatic surgery, and your life depends on it in many ways, doesn't it? When your knees get done, and it must be like, in many ways, learning to walk again, and something you've taken for granted for much of your life before. So lots of love to you and a speedy recovery. Sarah Davey joins us now from Spartan FX. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you.
Excellent to see you.
Excellent. I know the last time I think I was moving house, so that was done. Very, very stressful, I would have to say.
Oh, really?
And I know a lot of you obviously moving or hoping to move abroad. Mine was just in the UK, but still stressful. I would certainly recommend that you start going through all of your stuff as soon as possible. Underestimate how much you have. I would definitely say that.
Well, I'm doing it soon myself. So, and I have been ahead of the process there. But what did you wish that you were a minimalist? Some way through the process.
Definitely. And obviously the benefit of moving in the UK is that you can still keep going back with your car and you can get more and bring it back over. Whereas obviously that's probably slightly more difficult when you're moving abroad. So definitely start going through your belongings as soon as possible.
Yes, I guess you don't. If you've got an intercontinental move, you don't want to be messing about like that. So how many obviously you thought, okay, well, we've got the removers possibly. Some people do, some people don't. Some people do DIY on that. But then there's the car, isn't there? Your own car where you think, okay, well, I'll just take the important bits, the stuff from the freezer maybe. And you think, okay, that might be 1 or 2 trips. How many did you do in the end?
I've lost count. And we actually hired a van as well as the removal company because we just thought it's just not going to be big enough in the car. And we thought that would cut down on journeys. But we still, I don't know how I honestly do not know how I managed to store as much stuff as I did in my previous place.
What humans are like. How long had you been there?
About 10 years. So
it's a good time to gather, to amass and feel a queen of all your belongings over that time.
Definitely.
What was the most ridiculous thing you found in the move that you thought, why on earth did I buy this in the first place? You know, the things like yogurt makers and spiralizers and things like that.
Oh yes, there was a spiralizer that I'd never used. Definitely.
Very good. Why did you do that? It's amazing. I think marketers have got to be blamed for a lot of things. Yes, I'm going to improve my health with a spiralizer. It looks really tasty and lovely. And then it's still in the box some 3 years later or whatever, as you discover as you move house. Anyway, enough about moving, but that's very good advice. Thank you for that, for anyone who's considering it. What's new in the world of foreign exchange?
New in the world of foreign exchange? Well, I suppose really what we're hoping for at the moment is obviously travel to open up. You know, they're talking about putting some countries on the I think green list, is it called? So we're just got to keep watching. I mean, certainly in the UK, the vaccinations are moving very quickly, which is great. I just noticed on the NHS website that they brought it down to, I think, 44. That if you're over 44, you can go and get your vaccines. So we're moving along very quickly. So yeah, I suppose the restrictions are reducing in the UK, and I suppose for Portugal it's the same. So we're making progress and we're heading in the right direction. So hopefully travel will open up soon, and that's obviously what we're all hoping for, so that people can certainly get across and look at property, which is what we're looking forward to at the moment.
Yeah, it's been very helpful to have the Stanley Johnson clause, obviously, so that people can move around and assess property and make it ready for rental. So thank you to that, Stanley. Paul is asking the first question this morning: how can clients be sure their money is safe while in transit? You must get asked this quite a lot.
We do get asked quite a lot, and I would say that what we do is we constantly keep our customers in contact with them all the time and let them know where the money is throughout the whole journey. I think that obviously the thing with even when using your bank, you send it and you sort of hope it turns up at the other end. You're waiting to see, and it could take a while. With us, our payments are instant. So often we're on the phone with a client and we say, look, check your bank. Can you see it? And it's there. So it's very quick. And I think that also helps give peace of mind. We send a lot of proof of payments. And as I said, we're constantly keeping the customer in contact with them where their money is, basically. Yeah,
and the FIFA awards, obviously not the easiest thing to get in the world. You've got one of those, 2021, 5 stars there. That helps with peace of mind, doesn't it?
Definitely. And what's really nice about that award is it's actually voted, it's because of all our 5-star reviews on FIFO. So it's not something that we've done ourselves. It is just purely through our customers. They're very happy with our service. They've given us a lot of 5-star reviews, and that's what means that we can get the Gold Trust from FIFO, which is really, really good. So that's the other thing. A lot of people have used us, really happy with the service. And again, that gives other people peace of mind to use us. As a company, we go through rigorous checks with our clients. We want to make sure that it's safe for everybody. We know who's dealing with us, and that helps to keep your money safe. And obviously, there is checks in the background. If you give us bank account details of where you want the money to be sent, we're doing regular checks on that to make sure that that's correct, so it isn't sent to the wrong account. And as I said, we're doing regular checks on the money as well.
Amazing. Okay. Exceptionally professional company. Highly recommended. It says there, personal one-to-one service, great rates, no transfer fees. Excellent. I also see you can sign up for free. Would you recommend people do that in advance of a big transaction, just to get to know you?
Definitely. There's a couple of things. One, it is free to have a conversation with us. It's free to set up an account, and there's no obligation to use us. Definitely do that. I would say give yourself as much time as you can, because there's often then more options available. Yes, if you leave it to the last minute or you don't have a choice, that's fine. Speak to us and we'll help you get the best rate that we can on the day. And as I said, there's no transfer fees and there's no fee to have the account. But if you have got more time to play with, and you have got money available, there are then more options. So for example, if you were speaking to us today, you've got a payment, whether it be perhaps a property payment in a couple of months' time. Speak to us now about what's happening with the rate. And with the guidance from your dealer, if we think it's a good time to buy now, you can actually buy the money in advance of your payment. Whereas if you leave it to the last minute, then you're just really limited to the rate on the day, for example. So often people can save more money by buying at the right time, rather than just getting the best rate on the day. So it just gives you more options, and then you can see what's available. And again, even if a lot of people I've been speaking to are actually doing mortgage payments, or perhaps they're doing pension transfers, and again, there's more options within that. If you are based in the UK, we do have a facility that you can set up a direct debit. So what that means is that it can automatically come out of your account every month, every quarter, biannually. It's a lot less hassle, a bit like you would pay your mortgage here in the UK. It automatically comes out of your account. But what we can do again within that is you can either monitor the rate every month, just pick the rate on the day, or by doing this automated process, you can actually fix the rate. So you could fix the rate for the whole 12 months. So again, you know exactly how much your mortgage is going to cost you. You know exactly how much money you're going to get every month from your pension. So again, it just gives you that extra flexibility of your mortgage isn't going to be short. You know how much you're going to pay, or you're fixing into a good rate, which could then save you money over, say, the 12 months, for example. If you're based abroad in, say, America or Canada, then we don't have the direct debit. But again, we can speak to you throughout the month to help you buy at the right time when you're making any sort of regular payments. I know that I think it was last year they were talking about some people that are living abroad, that the UK were going to shut your bank account. So if that is the case, we can actually accept funds directly from some pension companies as well, so that you at least have that option, that control. Otherwise, if they're sending it directly to you in Portugal, for example, then you have no control over the rate.
Okay, good to know. Thank you very much. And also, yes, you can, as you're in the pub or something, you could say, "Excuse me, I'm just speaking to my foreign exchange dealer." That makes I imagine I'd feel pretty special saying that. You're used to it, obviously, but there's some extra bragging rights as well if you're doing those sorts of deals. Maria, if you still have your question that you would like to ask, do fire it into the comments now. Although you may well be just going direct into the business directory and making contact with Spartan FX yourself to ask for Sarah or for Ben, because it was great.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, I mean, a lot of our customers, we've been speaking to them recently, and I think I said it the last time I was on, the tips that they're giving is certainly try and get a good lawyer, one that speaks English, And if you give them power of attorney, you've got slightly more flexibility if you're not there in the country to actually go ahead with your selling a property or buying a property. Some people have said, and I think people are probably doing at the moment, that they're renting first before buying, which is fine. That gives you a chance to sort of see, is it right for you, and find the right property. If that's the case, you can still move your money at the right time. Speak to us even if you're not buying a property but you're moving. Then again, you've got more time and flexibility with the rate. Have a chat with us and see when the best time to move your money, so that it is there, so that when you're ready to buy, or even if you're renting, you've still got to pay that rental fee. We can help with that as well.
Tremendous. Okay, we seem to hit on a nerve or two with moving, which we were talking about when you first arrived. Humans are like goldfish. We slowly move into the space available to us. That's right.
True. That's true. Although I've been told that because we've moved into a larger space, I can't fill it like I did before.
Are there lots of closets, and as the Americans would call them, and cupboards? This is a thing some people look out for, right? Only to be filled with things like spiralizers ultimately.
Yes, definitely. But probably what will happen is that I've got rid of the spiralizer, because I thought, well, I'd try and cull everything, but then I'll probably just buy a new spiralizer. That's probably what's going to happen. Yes,
Penny, actually, I use my spiralizer. Mind you, my sausage maker hasn't... The sausage maker attachment, is that with the spiralizer or so? Oh, for my Kenwood Chef, hasn't seen the light of day for about 2 years. So if you're in the market for a sausage maker attachment for the Kenwood Chef, Penny's got one that's gathering dust in Devon there. Sarah, I'm sure you didn't expect to be speaking about spiralizers and sausage makers this morning, but thank you for being here. Oh, one quick question. It was about alerts from Be Alert. My question was about alerts, looking for a system that sends me an alert when exchange gets to X a value amount, so that I exchange at the best time. Can you help Maria with that?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, that's the other thing, giving yourself time. We'll monitor the rate for you, so we'll do that. And again, if you've got a specific rate in mind, then we can monitor it for that. And as soon as it hits, we can either let you know, and then you can decide to go ahead, or we can automatically buy for you as well.
Excellent.
So you've got that option.
There you go, Maria. And what this might be beyond your sort of remit here, but Fiona says, does this lovely lady know about what tax will be due on a sum of money coming from a will? I'm just starting to stress about what I need to do at both ends of the transaction. Beg your pardon. I mean, obviously that's not your department when it comes to accountancy and law, but you might have dealt with similar situations with people.
Yes and no. So yes, that isn't, we specialize in foreign exchange. However, we do deal with a lot of partners, in the UK and in Portugal and around the world. So, if there is other questions that we can't help you with, then we're happy to put you in touch with someone we know, or I'm sure Carl and Expats Portugal as well will be able to help. So certainly ask the questions, and I'm sure we can both put you in touch with people that will be able to help.
Great answer, Sarah. Yeah, definitely we can help with that. And really, for Spartan FX, it'll be the lump sum and the movement of that, presumably from the UK to Portugal, where Spartan FX will be able to help you with that. Sarah, always great to have you on and to have a chat. We always go beyond foreign exchange, don't we, as we've done this morning. We wish you all the best in your new home.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. And just give us a call and have a chat with us. Be happy to help.
All right, have a great day there in the UK.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. There you go, Sarah. SpartanFX.co. You can say, as you can see on the screen there, for moving large. Well, but they don't have to be exceptionally large. I guess it's just when you're paying rent or mortgage or the you're buying the house in the first place. Those will be big sums of money, larger than we normally handle on a daily basis, depending on what line of work you're in, of course. But yeah, Spartan FX are our preferred partners there for moving money around. Thank you, Sarah, for that. And we speak to Ben or Sarah once a month and catch up with them on foreign exchange. So if you've got a foreign exchange question, I can log it ahead of time if there's something you want to know ahead of their next visit with us. Okay, let's go back to the chat we were having before. We've got lots of lovely. My Russian mate Peter's here. Peter Svetlichny, who will be laughing at my pronunciation. Who he's helped me. I mean, it's a bit of a habit here, isn't there? People are either laughing at me for my Portuguese pronunciation, or now Russian as well. But it's a bon dia from a sunny North Caucasus of Russia there. Hey, amazing. Good morning to you, Peter. Great to have your company. So the prices for flights are coming in. These are pretty scary, as to be said. Come back to your figures in just a moment, Paul. But Doreen is here as well. Bon dia, Alegria. I purchased my flight ticket and finally submitted my visa application yesterday. Fingers crossed to you, Bossort, Doreen Reyes. And may all of that go beautifully, smoothly, and wonderfully for you on your journey towards Portugal. If you are flying from Manchester to Faro for two, it's for £517,000. Although I'm thinking there was a decimal point in there, so 517 quid. That has changed. My goodness. I suppose there were times, weren't there, Paul, when you were flying into Faro from Manchester for £29 each, or the airline was paying you to fly, or is £1 or something crazy like that. 517 quid for two, one way. My goodness, they're not just taking advantage there, are they? They're taking more than the advantage, I would say. That's amazing, isn't it? So am I right in how I've put that, Paul? Two people, one way, 517 British pounds. Incredible. We hear there is a yellow weather warning for many areas in Portugal at present. Actually, it feels like it's ongoing, Paul, Louise, because it's been thundering for the last, I don't know, it feels like a week to me. I had the longest clap of thunder I've ever heard in my life. It went on for so long that it became the new normal, if I could put it like that. It was bizarre. It's like, okay, it's still rumbling. Yeah, it's still rumbling. Go make a cup of tea. It's still rumbling. It was incredible. And yeah, I've been around central Portugal in the last few days, and a similar picture. Rain. It's April in Portugal, and no rain, no wine. Not sure how useful it is, though, even though you want me to do the weather, Louise. Yeah, I mean... Often we don't do the weather just for accuracy, do we? It's a talking point, isn't it? Especially for the Brits. 90% rain forecast for the past few days, and it's been beautiful blue skies. Well, there you go. I will do it, though. I will do it. Affectionately meant, Mrs. Bale, from Mark to Paul. Also, Carl, I am fine now. It was my potassium levels that dropped, which can cause some significant issues. Luckily, I just got a warning. So there was a bit of a stroke. What do they call? What's the other expression for those? But yes, a bit of a palsy type event over there by the sound of it for Mark, and a potassium drop. So worth having your levels checked. Good point. When you think about numbers, what is the biggest you can think you can actually gauge? 100s? Yeah, billions. That's right. Billions of losses in tap. What does that actually mean? Can you gauge 100s, thousands, or 100,000s? I have a way to visualize these numbers that I'll show you on the Man Cave on Friday. Oh, you tease us, Gary. Getting everyone into the Man Cave on Friday. Yes, Gary will be back after his day off or night off, celebrating his birthday, and spotted. Could you believe that? Spotted in a Portuguese restaurant. That's the guy from the Man Cave over there. That is. Don't stare. But Gary will be fine, actually. If you ever see Gary Austin out and about in Coimbra and you want a selfie with him, I'm sure he'd be one of those celebs that's actually, yeah, how you doing? What's your name? Yeah, I'll sign on your forehead with me Sharpie. Fine. Carry a Sharpie around with you now, Gary. Now you've been spotted officially. Ludwig Dingledine is here. Good morning to you. Bon dia. Somebody actually sent me a message the other day and said, do you know what the highlight of my morning was? Ludwig Dingledine's name. Just hearing it on the show brought joy and light to someone's life, Ludwig. So you're doing a great, without having to do very much except be yourself. You're offering a great service there. Bon dia, everyone, from Tracy Hopkinson. Good morning to you, Tracy. Bon dia from not Runny Alcabasa. Rainy Alcabasa, I'm so sorry. Pam, another of our Ask Our Expats team there, if you want to know about life on the Silver Coast. Let's have a look at some weather there for a minute, actually. Whilst we've got Pam on the line, as it were, metaphorically, and whilst Louise was asking about it, 90% threat of rain. And let's see if our weather matches that forecast or not. And I'll tell you, what's the nearest I've got to Alcabasa? Coimbra, Beja, Braga. If any of these appeal to you, shout out. Evra, Leiria. Yes, it's going to be Leiria, isn't it? I think will be the closest weather forecast for Louise there, and I think Pam as well. So bringing that onto the screen now, we have Leiria, broken clouds, 14 degrees currently, rising to 18, a high of 18, and rain forecast all and every day. this week with a sunny weekend. That's how the weather should be, shouldn't it? Like rain in the week and then a lovely sunny weekend. Right, if you're not in Portugal yet and you're wondering about Leiria, central Portugal, more over to the coast and to the Spanish border, fabulous city, and those are the sort of temperatures you can expect, and that's pretty similar to. I was going to say to the Silver Coast, but obviously you've got the Atlantic factor, which just, plays havoc with the weather, let's face it. But 18 degrees the high this week. They're very pleasant looking and plenty of rain forecast. So whether or not it comes, I don't know. Louise, you'll be able to tell us yourself. So yes, rainy in Alcobaster at the moment. Thank you, Pam. Paul Richards, question for Sarah. How can clients be sure their money is safe while in transit? We did that one. Excellent. And we also talked about spiralizers and sausage attachments and goldfish, although they should all be kept separate, I would say. You can get vaccines for 42. It's going down every day. It's like an auction, isn't it? Okay. Who will give me 65? 65, thank you very much. 44, yes. 42, I have a 42 over here. So if you're 42 and over, you can now get a vaccine in the UK. That's the latest from the NHS. Have just booked mine, says Robin Caliente. Good morning to you, Robin. A rare name here. California, Manda Sudadosh. Sudadosh from Virginia Larson. Bon dia alegria todos from Virginia. Thank you for that. And back to dog fostering now. My first foster for Fiona in Portugal, but we'll definitely do it again. Pi is a tripod. Oh, missing a leg. That's the dog's missing a leg. 3-legged dog. Has he got no nose? I can highly recommend this group for anyone wanting to help by fostering or even adopting. 100% supportive and totally lovely people. The municipal kennel in Tamar. They take dogs out they have dogs there in Tamar at any time. Over 200 dogs, puppies, and cats. They take some looking after, don't they? Wow. So there you go. I won't read that out because it's a lot of numbers there, big numbers. But you can. That was a bit Wurzels meets Donald Trump, wasn't it? Big numbers. I'm not going to read out the big numbers there. I'm going to let you cut and paste that, copy and paste that, if you want to find out about fostering a dog, possibly a 3-legged dog in Portugal here on its transit to a new home. Amazing. Thank you, Fiona, for that. I get money in the US twice a month and currently use XZ and receive in 3 days into my bank account in Faro. So there's an alternative. But don't use the alternative. Use Spartan FX. Use what you like, but check out Spartan FX. My question was about alerts. We've done that for you, Maria. And you can see how nice Sarah would be to work with. And her colleague Ben has had a great chat with him when he was on last time. Does this lovely lady? Yes, she does. We did that, didn't we? And thanks from Fiona for that. Bon dia, Carl from Claire. Hello, Claire. How are you this morning? Bon dia to you as well. Yes, yes. So yes, as in that is 510 British pounds. Amazing. Great to see 41 on the channel. Maybe they can give a thumbs up if they like it. Maybe they can give a thumbs up even if they don't like it. It all helps, doesn't it? Why not? I mean, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't the world change if we just gave a thumbs up anyway, even if we didn't agree? That's very philosophical, isn't it? What would the world be like if even if everyone just, had their own little opinions about everything, as we do, obviously. But just thought, I see you, my fellow human being. I don't agree with you necessarily, but I'm going to give you a thumbs up just for being in the world and not being too much of a pain in the bum. It's worth a thought. Ludwig Dingledine, nice to hear that. Here in Andorra, people have a lot of problems with my name. Well, I hope I've done that justice, Ludwig. I put the V in for the Ludwig and the Dingledine rather than Dingledine there from my knowledge of German. And I perhaps it does vary which part of Germany you would find yourself or hail from. 15.5 here in West Yorkshire. I cannot wait to get over to central Portugal for those extra few degrees. 15.5, I'm guessing centigrade there. Thank you, Tracy. I've just hung my washing out. Total blue skies now. Well, that's going to change the weather, obviously, Louise. If you hang your washing out, what do you expect? It's as if some just changed the background. Yes, putting the washing out, that's what did it. Strangely, even a thumbs down is good for the algorithm. Yes, it is a strange motivator, isn't it? Like if ever I see an angry face there or a thumbs down, my mind goes straight to it. That's how we can be as human beings, isn't it? There might be loads of thumbs ups and hearts and stuff, and Why is someone angry at me? But thumbs up is friendlier. Absolutely, Mark. Ria flight ticket going to Milda now. Before we talk about democracy in Portugal, actually, this morning, unless you've got any other consumer questions that we can answer with the hive mind here. Flight tickets. Obviously, this is consumer news, the price of flight tickets. Try to look for flights to Portugal via Oslo, Norway. It will take longer, but cheaper. Ryanair tickets from UK to Oslo are usually very cheap. Well, there's a little hack for you, life hack, flight hack. That's great. Thank you, Milda. I mean, and while you're about it, I mean, I would wince a bit. I'm thinking I'm just like spreading loads of extra aviation fuel around the atmosphere, flying to Oslo to get a cheap deal. How I would make good of that? It's like, well, get out for a day or two in Oslo and have a look. It must be a beautiful place to have a little mosey around. Have a Moslo in Oslo with Milda. I'm not going to be working for the Norwegian Tourist Board anytime soon, am I, with stuff like that? But why not only fly via Oslo, but have a little look as well? Really useful what Sarah had to say. Another great service I need to get in touch with. Can I get a bulk discount on your business directory services? Oh, she's squeezing us for a further deal there, Louise. But I know you said that you thought it was well worth the value that you pay for premium membership on Expats Portugal. So I think you're just joking, but you probably deserve it. The amount of services you have used, and I'm going to be after you for a testimonial soon, Louise, for what we offer as we reach out to more clients and customers around the world to help more people move to and explore and enjoy their dream life in Portugal. So anyone else that applies to as well, if you've got a testimonial and you want to pop it in the comments, I'd be most grateful to receive that. I have been tasked with that within the organization to get a few testimonials from people. So please, yes, that would be lovely. Something along the lines of, I love Expats Portugal because basically they're fab, those sorts of things. Spud the kitten is proper full on this morning, worse than having kids. It is sometimes, isn't it? Puppies and kittens. Why is that, I wonder? I suppose generally because puppies and kittens or children wear nappies, don't they? And don't empty various contents of their bodies around the house. Yes. So good luck. Have fun with Spud this morning. That's the little kitten there who you have seen pictures of, I think, on the show. Hello from Twin Falls, Idaho, USA. Still waiting for tourism to reopen and a D7. Well, Cooper, there has been a little bit of a news puff around the place saying that the EU, generally speaking, this is not just Portugal, but the EU, of which, Portugal is the poster boy currently in the chair of the European Union on a 6-monthly basis. And it's not been great because we've had to cancel Mr. Modi's visit to Portugal recently, with Portugal chairing the EU. But I did see you never know, do you, if they're just flying a kite with some of these news stories, but the EU supposedly opening borders to Americans who've been vaccinated. Okay, that's all I can tell you from what I've seen. Mark, YouTube, rank the viewer engagement and then boost the visibility of the channel and recommend to others. So you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up. How's the deconfinement going? Heard of anyone flying in from EU countries, and any idea when the 14-day quarantine will be lifted? Tomorrow, I'm afraid not. Don't know at the moment, but I'm going to share with you a bit of COVID coverage in Portugal before we go to that democracy discussion. Absolutely the usual in a brown envelope will do. Just kidding. Cheers, just kidding. Obviously, I will have a look now at the COVID for Tamara. I can't give you a direct answer there, Tamara, but what I can do is give you a sense of how things are improving in Portugal, which must be all to the good, right, in terms of our deconfinement and opening up process. So here's some news from the Portugal Resident, my favorite news source in Portugal. And here from, it'll be Natasha, won't it? Yes, it will. From yesterday, okay? 0 COVID deaths registered in Portugal on last Sunday, the 25th, the commemoration, of course, of the revolution, the Carnation Revolution in 74. Only the second time this has happened. 0 COVID deaths in Portugal on Sunday, folks. It's the good news in today's bulletin. The last 24 hours have not seen one death from COVID-19 in Portuguese territory, including the archipelagos. This is only the second time this has happened since the start of the pandemic. Coincidentally, both times refer to the period Sunday to Monday. And we do know the administration shuts down a bit then. However, there have been seen another 17 people admitted to hospital for worsening effects of the disease. The RT, the transmission rate number, has also increased from 0.99 to 1. These incremental changes are not easy to grasp. For example, incidence, the number of people showing infections in 100,000 people has actually fallen from 68.3 to 67.3. My goodness, we're looking at little drops like that, aren't we? Which is just tiny in the scheme of things, but we're looking at trends, aren't we? We're looking at direction of travel of data. What does it all mean? Asked Natasha. We'll find out tomorrow. This is today she's referring to, and that meeting I mentioned, when the meeting of experts is scheduled at Infomed. So there's a big Infomed meeting where they'll be evaluating all of this today and pronouncing on which way the deconfinement can go. In the meantime, the active case count for the whole country, archipelagos included, is just 24,662 active cases of COVID. That's 0.24 of the population, of which the vast majority of those have not required hospital treatment. So there you go. If they've even displayed symptoms, the picture's looking good, isn't it? Recoveries have been pegged at 326, while 196 cases were detected. Again, weekends are notorious for having low counts, which catch up by midweek. Yeah, they don't do testing at the weekends, which obviously going to change the figure. That's not been addressed. I think it's the same in the UK. You know, we're working on figures in this global pandemic, state of emergency. We're in a state of emergency, but we don't do testing at the weekend. I don't get it. But whichever way one looks at it, the situation nationally is moving in the right direction, says Natasha Don finally in that piece there, which I've read to you without putting it on the screen. I'll give you a quick glance of it now, just so you don't feel robbed. There you go. You could have verified those figures yourself. And there you see the blue latex thumbs up sign of approval. Which looks like a library picture, but it gets the point across, does it not? I'm going to let that linger there for a moment while we have a look at what else is being said in the comments. Actually, the more important news, real comments by real people. Not that Natasha Don isn't a real person, but you know what I'm saying. First-hand testimony from our lovely community here. For me, getting into Portugal anyhow, I feel your pain, Tamara. I really do. Things are improving in Portugal. The problem is France for her. And Gary saying, love that post office scandal news item from the BBC Radio. Absolutely astonishing how large institutions protect themselves. Scandalous. Absolutely. I mean, if you don't know about this is how some postmasters, I don't know if that's the general term across the world, but some postmasters in Britain, in UK, were imprisoned for it looked like they were corrupt and fiddling the books of their post offices after the introduction of a new computer system. Turns out some 10 years later, I think, is that right, Gary? They're all innocent. It was the computer system what done it. And they were imprisoned. One pregnant woman sent to prison. And yes, Gary's absolutely right. How the institution, the post office, seemed to just close ranks and set these people adrift and saw it through. And they were imprisoned, and they were all innocent. As it turns out, all their charges were quashed, and they are now free. I mean, most of them were out of prison by now, but they've been, pursuing this case. Absolutely scandalous. Is there a quarantine when arriving to Portugal? Yes. Actually, I don't know. I've not. I'm guessing there is. I'm going to say yes, but it depends on where you're from and who you are, of course. But then again, if it depends on where you're from, you probably can't get in anyway. So I suspect the guidance at this stage is, it's going to be returning nationals who are allowed into Portugal. And they are advised, I suspect, I would have thought, to be in quarantine for 14 days. But other people coming in can't come in anyway. So I think that's academic there. Kim Venezia. Best, obviously, I'm not very helpful with that. Go to Safe Communities Portugal. This is what I've said all along. Safe Communities Portugal. A lot more objective and helpful with the actual definite things you need to be doing over there. Safe Communities Portugal website. However, they are struggling with the confusion that we are all struggling with with how all the different nuances add up and restrictions that seem to contradict one another. But they're your best starting point for sure. Good morning from Baltimore, from Jim. Good morning to you, Kim. It depends where you come from. Exactly. There you go, Kim. But Safe Communities Portugal. Thank you, Ludwig, for that. Kim, yes, depending on what country you're traveling from, check the government website. Says Tamara. Very good. concessionárias e franchises. Concessions or franchises. Is that to do with the British Post Office? I'm not sure. Susan Renshaw is here. Thanks, Joel. Perhaps you could expand on that. Good morning, Carl and Peeps. EasyJet flights, London to Lisbon, still showing flights for under £40 each way. Got one booked for the 19th of May, medical reason. Fingers crossed it doesn't get cancelled. June and July still flights showing really low prices on EasyJet site. Maybe Paul doesn't like to use EasyJet. I don't know, but that sounds very different to £519, just £40 there. If you're a Portuguese citizen, you can cross the border. If not, you need the right documentation, says Ludwig there. That goes to show that corruption is everywhere and in all. Yeah, absolutely, Joel. No question about that. Or what do you call it in Portugal? Illicit enrichment, I think is the term. Don't like to use the phrase corruption. We call it illicit enrichment here. That goes to show, doesn't it? The post office scenario is absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah, when you hear the testimonies of those folks involved, disgraceful. Absolutely. And you want to be hearing, don't you? It's a bit like the cops and lawyers behind the Hillsborough tragedy. Years later, you want to see some justice, don't you? The people who did close ranks, those dark and smoky corners of life in corporations. It strikes me as a wrong thing that corporations are more liable and companies are more liable than the individuals who cause these things behind the scenes. Why shouldn't they face justice? I hope they do. Thank you, Tamara, Ludwig. I have a Portuguese visa. Says Kim. Got to check the government website then. I would say, and I would have thought with a visa there will be some. Isn't there some documentation or guidance that comes with that, Kim, as well, telling you what to do on arrival? But yes, the embassy. Or consulate for you, I would say there. Heard on Radio 2 yesterday that large numbers who are not in prison were told to pay back tens of thousands or be prosecuted. Had to sell their houses, had depression, marriage breakups. Just absolutely scandalous. Compensation has been minimal too. Lives ruined even when they didn't go to prison. Incredible, Penny? Yes, people really feeling that for those unfortunate people who were the subject of that. Disgusting, really. I mean, there's no other word to use. It disgusting, disgraceful treatment of people. They're just doing their jobs, and the computer system failed them. My wife can cross the border, but I can't. Oh, it looks like there's a scene from Brief Encounter every morning and evening at their house as the train leaves or as the car goes across the border and just waving there, wiping a tear in black and white. That sounds awful, Ludwig. Hopefully that will change for you soon. If I'm not mistaken, even if you have taken the vaccine, depending on the country of origin, you may be required to be in confinement for 2 weeks minimum, says Joel, who is also giving us some, illicit enrichment. That would be the enriquecimiento ilícito or branqueamento de capitais. Is that playing with money? Branqueamento de capitais. Interesting. Where was that? Kim, thank you. Seth, thank you, Joe. Anyone know the address of the government website that would have that information? That's got to be the Portuguese embassy, isn't it? Don't know that off the top of my head. I suspect someone else will help you out there. But yeah, Google Portuguese embassy. That'll be pretty straightforward, I thought it interesting that EU and UK countries have stated travelling to buy property or to prepare property for rental is an approved reason to travel. Yes, we have the Prime Minister's father to thank for that. Yes, for sure. And again, that might be along the lines of illicit enrichment, right? Who's more likely to have foreign property and that sort of upward mobility socially around Europe? Let me see. D says, planning a preliminary reconnaissance mission around Portugal from Oz. It looks as though I will have to have a valid vaccine passport, but nothing has been decided. True. In limbo until there's clarity, as we all are. Yeah, it's an awful situation. It really is. But as I've always said, whenever there's concrete information, we will do our best to bring it to you in the mornings here. Kim, I'm an EU resident and my flights have been cancelled 3 times, says Tamara. And from France, there is still a 14-day quarantine if I can get a flight. May the 3rd, I believe. Yeah, May the 3rd is a big milestone, as I said before. So May the 4th be with us. That's my wedding anniversary, incidentally. But yes, we're going to drink to freedom on the 1st, next Saturday night. We're going to hope for great news on the 3rd. And May the 4th be with us with further freedom. The whole situation is a mess. Yes, the empire is very questionable at the moment. Gemini, you're right. Yes, an average of 12,000 euros isn't enough, even if their reputation is given back. Oh, this was the compensation. Some of those cases have spent from their own pocket more than 30,000 euros just to get their 12,000 euros compensation. What we need there, I think. I mean, did you see how the football fans of UK were able to change a decision and bring shame and what would it be? Illustrating their feelings, sharing their feelings, making it very plain what they didn't want to happen. They had it turned around in about 48 hours, didn't they, the football fans? Why aren't we able to do that in these other areas of life, I wonder? Like obvious government corruption, obvious corporate corruption. Get the football fans on it. They know what they're doing, don't they? Danielle, the European Parliament decreed that Europe cannot discriminate services, airlines, cafes, businesses, etc., against people who have not had the vaccine. Quite right too, Danielle. But let's see how that shakes down, shall we, and pans out. I think it goes back to Gemini's comment. The whole situation is a mess. We'll do our best to untangle it here, and criticize and have our opinions about it, of course, as well. Let off steam if you wish, respectfully and freely in our comments. This is one place you're able to do that. Sorry to hear that. What a mess. What is the date of the May the 3rd about? It is a key milestone, Kim, in the deconfinement process of Portugal. Big meeting today, 27th of April. And May the 3rd, you know, the next bit will open this, will open that. And there will be a list of things that are subject to deconfinement, to opening up. Okay. Honestly, this is really touched. Joel is a Portuguese man, but this scandal in the UK has really touched him. Honestly, the postal office should at least give back the same amount each individual has put from their own pockets to have sorted the failure of the computer system fault. Absolutely right. We are, folks, we are like the football fans. We are in a position to be very instrumental. I know this weekend there's a social media boycott happening. Forgive me, I'm not sure what it's about, but we can organize these things to bring about the right sort of attention and the right sort of action, I'm sure, if we organize ourselves appropriately. But that's always been the thing for humankind, hasn't it? And we'll get onto this in just a moment when we look at how Portuguese people feel about democracy. And we need a really good news story, if anyone's got one, towards the end there. We need a cat rescued from a tree somewhere by the end of this. Rather, it's taken rather a dark turn this morning, us understandably, for sure, complaining about the conditions that are ongoing with a state of emergency all around Europe, and also this post office scandal. But anyway, Tamara, Carl just said it, fingers crossed. I mean, how pathetic is that? All the best I can give you is fingers crossed. What sort of news and information service is this that says fingers crossed? But that's all I got. Football fans did not change the Super League. FIFA, UEFA said that's fine, but you can't play in our league too. Pretty much like Brexit, but at least the football teams changed their minds. Oh, okay. Point of order there. Well received. Thank you, Stephen. So what was it? Just the big money speaks, if ultimately, is it? If the post office scandal happened in the US, there would be many lawsuits going on. Yeah, that's a fair point, Jim. And would the resolution be good, do you think, long term? I mean, people spend their lives facing these things, don't they? And some of them must have wondered, is it worth it? Good news. Oh, yes, Paul, I am in Portugal from the 20th of May. That is good news. Thank you. And good news story. My fruit trees are blossoming. Yes. And as I look out onto the vineyards, I used to call them the well-pruned vineyards. They're very bushy. The bushy vineyards that I'm looking out over this morning. Let's have a quick look at this. Come back to your comments in just a moment. But I wanted to share this with you. There's me. I am the Portuguese Pollyanna. I do have many good things to say about Portugal and remain very positive about my life experience here. I am really grateful. That's good news. It's a decision we're so grateful to be able to move to Portugal when we did and to enjoy the lifestyle here. Absolutely love it. And I do get criticized for someone. I put a YouTube comment up the other day. All you ever say is good things. We want to hear about the bad things. And I think you can get that everywhere. And I don't think I'm a complete Pollyanna. I do often humorously remark upon some of the things that could be seen as shortcomings and challenges. But on the top line, bottom line, every line, this is an amazing country, amazing place to be. So I was very interesting to see this there's me saying about the world should know about the Carnation democracy. The Carnation revolution that led to democracy. 25 de Abril of 1974, right? Very recent history for Europe when the right-wing fascist government was overthrown by the people, right? Led by the military. Or in association with the military. The carnations appeared in the guns. A florist who had quite a lot of red carnations started giving them out, and they were put in the guns, as you can see here. Now, so it came as a surprise to me to read here, again from Natasha Don, star of this show, and from the Portugal resident. 47 years of democracy, but only 10% of people believe they actually live in one. Now, obviously, come on, folks, you do live in a democracy in the broadest sense, but there's a little bit of nitpicking going on here, which I'm going to go into now. April 25th, 2021 is the day Portugal celebrates 47 years of democracy. Due to the pandemic, commemorative events are limited, some going on virtually. Actually, I will go into Marcelo's address if we've got time. Depends on how much we're talking about this with you in the comments. But one aspect is clear, says Natasha. No one really believes Portugal is a true democracy. Now, on this point, I would say, show me a true democracy, okay? Because it's all relative, isn't it? And I would genuinely, where is there a true democracy? The same it could be said of my native UK. It's not a true democracy, and the democratic ideal is quite a lofty ambition, not unlike communism, you might say. Reporting back in February, the Economist Intelligence Unit reduced Portugal's previous rating of fully democratic country to 1. So there is an Economist Intelligence Unit, the EIU, I suspect they call themselves, and we've been downgraded here in Portugal from a fully democratic country to one described as a democracy with flaws. Now, you could say that the definition of democracy is a place with flaws, right? Because that is, that's why you have a democracy, isn't it? To address what doesn't work on an ongoing process. But anyway, now a poll by the ISCTE, commissioned by Expresso, the newspaper, has shown that only 10% of the population would disagree with that downgrading. The rest fall into two groups: those that see it as a democracy with small defects, that's 47% of people. There's a Brexit-style US election-style percentage, and those who are less generous and view our day-to-day as a democracy with many defects. So small defects, many defects. 47%, 53% by the look of it. Oh no, you've got the other 10% to factor in. So 43, 47, and then 10 who think it's fine and dandy. And the blame for this thinking is not the pandemic, says Expresso. People felt this way even before all the measures brought in the name of sanitary safety. Yes, welcome to sanitary safety, everybody. Compiling the numbers, the paper concludes 83% of Portuguese people believe Portuguese democratic life is defective. When it comes to ages, this is a really interesting bit, okay? Those who best evaluate Portuguese democracy are those who lived or can remember the heady day in 74 when the people backed the almost bloodless is interesting, isn't it? I think there's a little bit of bloodshed, tiny amount, and almost sort of collateral bloodshed, and not directly, no frontline gunfire, as it were. A military coup and toppled over 40 years of dictatorship. Of those people whose ages fall in the 45 to 64 age bracket, 62% of them rate Portugal's current democracy as one that is only slightly defective. So they've seen the worst of it, and that they're making their comparison, okay? However, those over the age of 65 are less optimistic, says Expresso. Only 55% applaud the state of the regime, very possibly, speculates Natasha here, because they dreamt of a very different post-April 25th than one they have gone on to live through. That's from Expresso, not from Natasha, that quote. Very possibly because they dreamt of a different post-April 25th. Now, get this. The younger chunk of adult society, those aged from 25 to 44, what are they? Gen X, not baby boomers, Gen X, millennials. They're the least positive when it comes to evaluations. Says that they can't remember. Obviously, they can't remember the revolution itself, so they don't have that benchmark except from a historical perspective, from their parents and grandparents, and they've grown up. Look. Says the paper, they've experienced successive economic and social crises, as well as the inequalities that also affect democracies. So, of course, they would have felt 2008 and the pandemic thinking, well, if this is democracy, fill in the blanks. It goes without saying that the assessment exposes the gap that exists for the electorate between those who vote and those who govern. Well, there you go. There is sometimes a gap, isn't there? Perceivable gap between those who vote and those who govern. This is, and especially so here in Portugal recently, when you look at the recent corruption case. This is easily seen when asked if most politicians care about what people think. An overwhelming majority of respondents clearly say no. Not a good time to be a politician from that point of view. Although, they've continued to work and be paid throughout this entire thing. Only 21% either agree totally, 3%, or partially, 18%, with the idea that politicians pay attention and or even identify with the majority of people. So, wow, of those agreeing totally or partially, it's 1 in 5 that politicians can identify with people. That's the pint of milk thing, isn't it? How much is a pint of milk? How many politicians really know that? Are they in touch with real people? So I'm interested to know what you think about this. I really am. Put that into another neat condemnation, says Natasha. 74% of people in a country where over 20% live in poverty. That is sobering, isn't it? Have very little faith in politicians ever coming through for them. So the question is, of course, how can this change? That's what we need to address, isn't it? I mean, we can go on moaning about politics and politicians forevermore, and probably could have good cause to do so. But what are we going to do about it? Your answers here, please, and I will forward them on to the appropriate people. We need to know. Okay, so let's see. Blimey, Joel's busy in the comments this morning. With some interesting comments I can see already. Wow, I need to scroll back quite a long way here. Hold up, wait a minute. Lol, such a waiting game. My life is on hold. Wah! From tomorrow. That's it. Let it out. We can cope with that here. Carolina Kirk. Carolina, bon dia from Villa de Con. Great show, thanks. My pleasure, Carolina. Thank you for your feedback, your excellent feedback. Your wedding anniversary on the 4th, ours on the 7th of May. It seems like the perfect occasion on the Thursday, the 6th Wine Club, for the post-scriptum wine. Something a little special. Well said, Gary. Yes, indeed. And I'll have to get some special kombucha in for Mrs. M, who doesn't drink, to celebrate. What do you give a woman who doesn't drink on a wedding anniversary? Kombucha. A vegan as well. Bad things. I can provide, yes, kombucha. As you're not talking about kombucha, there is he. I can provide you with bad things every Friday night in the man cave. I do rants for free. Yes, he does. We've got keywords now, and off he goes. Good news. Theatres are open, and yesterday I was able to share events in my community group instead of just COVID news. Well done, Pamela. Oh, how lovely to hear that you have a community group there in Alcabasa. And I noticed, the exhibition halls are open, aren't they? And I've got a José Cid exhibition. Zé Cid, a famous musician from this Barada region. There's a big exhibition. I'm going to go down there and report on that for you as well. Anyone know more about what's happening with Seth? Months have passed and still can't get an answer by email nor phone call. I need to get my paperwork sorted. It's really starting to impact my plans. Still, well, they've changed their name. We know that recently. Just keep logging. You've got good cause for the delay from your point of view. Keep logging those emails so they know that you've at least been trying. 47 years of democracy and 46 years of corruption. See what he means there about bad things? Democracy is an illusion granted to us to keep us in order. Oh, cheer up, you lot. Lol. It's true, though, isn't it? In that survey, they only interviewed Chega supporters. Do you think so, Paolo? Is it a bit... well, it's a newspaper, so I was going to say, is it unnecessarily grim? That is the definition of newspapers, isn't it? Unnecessarily grim sometimes. But continue with the good things, Carl. It helps to keep sanity. Should I not have done that? We took us down, back up the truck. Go look at pictures of cats instead. I did try to get help through the organisation you interviewed a few months ago, Carl. They said they'd be back in touch 2 months with no more contact. Those, what were they called, Fiona? Let me get them back on the show, because things will have worsened for a lot of people, but potentially. So could you remind me what they were called? Because I know the people you mean, but their name doesn't come to mind. Paulo and Joel are going at it like good Portuguese people. It looks like they're having a terrible row in there in Portuguese, but they'll just be having a fairly pleasant conversation, I suspect. My birthday's on the 19th of May, wedding anniversary on the 26th of May. It's a great month, isn't it, May? Beautiful. Fully agree, Gary. It's an illusion granted to keep us in order. But what you haven't done, you cynics, is given us the answer, the solution to this difficulty. So let's just pause there for a moment and let's see what the president has to say about this moment. 47 years of democracy. Marcelo, Portugal must assume glories and failures of its past. And you'll notice there is a lot of this around, isn't there, at the moment? How leading figures are basically taking on board criticisms of the past of their countries. You know, they're not Pollyannas from that point of view anymore. And I need to just bring this onto the screen for you. Probably in English could be a little bit more helpful. Let me go translate this and see what happens. I thought I had it all set up before. So yes, translating into English now, which unfortunately brings up this page could not be translated. That's because there's a massive Volkswagen advert in the way. Let's see if it's my Portuguese isn't up to this. It was doing it earlier on. Let's see how we get on here. Always translate Portuguese. Sorry, Google Translate. Oh yeah, Portugal must assume glories and failures from its past. So it's done it now. There you go. We can see that on the screen now. Let me take that off the screen for a minute. Point taken, though. Point taken. Although there is clearly corruption in Portuguese politics, it does seem to be addressed. I'm optimistic that there will be consequences. I'm less optimistic about the way political corruption is dealt with in the UK. Interesting, Pam. Yes, Carl, it was a pleasant conversation. You see, it looks really gory, doesn't it, sometimes? And when you hear Portuguese people speaking to each other, is everything okay? Yeah, it's just ordering a coffee. The solution is revolution. Steady, Penny. All political parties are funded by someone, and that is where the problem starts. Yes, no punches were traded in Portuguese conversation. Yeah, glad to hear it. Just check in. Marcelo, Portugal must assume glories and failures from its past. President of the Republic went to Parliament to defend the country, or defend that the country should look at the colonial past without self-contemplation or flagellation. Okay, assuming that was good and bad. And let's be clear here. This is a translation, so things could get lost. There is and never was a perfect Portugal. No, don't say that, President. I moved here thinking it was perfect. There is and never was a condemned Portugal. Parties focused on interventions on justice and corruption, interestingly. It was a reflective speech, and there he is giving it there, surrounded by red carnations, as you would expect. Far from the hot topics of today, placed in the present as it looks to the past. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa closed this morning the solemn commemorative session of the 47th anniversary of April 25th with a speech in which he defended, in bold here, the history of the country, namely the most recent one, should be dissected in what was good and bad. And that should be a priority, by the way. But this history of history must be done without intolerance and without the extremism of undue global self-contemplations or excessive global self-flagellation. Global self-flagellation. May the years that remain until the half century of the 25th. Oh, so yes, there's going to be an awesome celebration in their 50 years of democracy. So may the years that remain until the half century of the 25th of April serve all of us to follow such a path, with the glories that honor us and the for which we are responsible. Mea culpa. And, looking for the good and praising it. It's a good balance here. I know it's a speech, and I know you might see it as political rhetoric, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? I mean, what else is he supposed to say? Underlined Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, defending that these steps must serve today to build cohesions and inclusions and to combat personal or social intolerances. At a time when the country's history has become a field of ideological dispute, not just the country, it's the world, isn't it? The President of the Republic insisted on the idea of the complexity of looking at past events, namely over the country's colonial past, not least because today's look was not one of those times. Has a personalistic, I think that's lost in translation, a personalistic density of the dignity of the human person, of the condemnation of slavery and slavism, of the refusal of racism and other xenophobias that has been investigated over time. So you get the gist. There is and has never been a perfect Portugal, he went on to say. There is and never has been a condemned Portugal. So we have to be careful, don't we, of polarity, of going too far in either direction. A speech that deserved the applause of almost the entire chamber, except for Ventura, we notice here. So that's in Diario de Noticias, if you want to check that out. In fact, let me just put the article. I think it's a good one. And of course, yes, it could be political rhetoric. It's his job, isn't it, to make speeches of this kind? But like I said, we've got to start somewhere. And that strikes me as being a pretty good speech as Portugal does approach its half-century anniversary of democracy coming from that amazing Carnation Revolution of 25th of April 1974. So what else are you saying here? Pamela, sorry, but I do have to disappoint you there. Even when you're caught in corruption, Portuguese politicians escape with minimum damage. Unfortunately, if it was up to me, public shaming wouldn't be enough. Google Translate is hilarious. It can be, can't it? Kind of helps, really, with the joy of learning the language. Actually, you think, well, that's not quite right. I'll have to find out what that really said. The IOM, okay, Fiona, thank you for that. IOM, I believe, is the organization name. You're absolutely right. It's something to do with migration, isn't it? Not the Institute of Migration, but something along those lines. And they promise to help people who have found themselves in difficulties. Any migrants, they do amazing work around the world, but they recognize that there might be a difficult circumstances for people with Brexit too, but you haven't heard back from them. So I'll have a look into that. Marcelo's father was the governor of one of the colonies Portugal had during dictatorship, so especially poignant, prescient for him. Bon dia from Andrew Gilchrist. You missed the best of it, Andrew, but welcome to you. And I work, says Paolo Simoes, in one of the biggest corporations in the world. I'm based in Geneva, and for what I see, corruption is all over the place. By the way, I am a finance analyst. Yes, Paolo. I mean, it's human nature, isn't it? You know, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Where there's muck, there's brass. No, that doesn't quite fit in. But you know, where there's money, there's trouble. Follow the money, honey. You know, all of these little cliches are cliches because they are in some part true. But I leave that question with you. What are we going to do about it? We can't just moan about it, folks. We have to be the change, especially for those. These are the people I really feel for. Okay, they're looking to us. Okay, let me just put this in the comments because I feel very strongly about this, which you may have gathered this morning. This is from the article. But the younger chunk of adult society, those aged from 25 to 44, is the least positive when it comes to evaluations. I'm sure they're not all Shager voters. And this to me is sad news. And this to me is why us older ones need to be talking. We can't just come across as cynical. Like, what do you expect? You know, there's corruption everywhere. Democracy is just, to give us a feeling that we've got some power. Between us, we need to set them an amazing example. They've had it tough, haven't they? This lot coming into the economic crashes, and some people call them snowflakes, don't they? Because these are the best of times, and I acknowledge that in many ways these are the best of times for humanity. No question about that. Probably what's really important here is the failure of the promise for these young people, right? They are, on the one hand, marketed an incredible ideal of life, but their personal experience of it doesn't live up to that. And perhaps we need to look into corporations, marketing, and other manipulations of mankind, as well as politics, for the answer to that. But I do think we have to come up with something for these people, 25 to 44, and especially the children of these people. These are our grandchildren, really, aren't they? The under 25s. To say, look, we've got this. It like Marcelo was saying, it's not all bad and it's not all good. And there's somewhere in the middle where we can roll our sleeves up and get on with, from seeing what we don't like, creating something we do like. So there's my inspirational chat for this morning. The answer is not going to come from us old folk. Oh, come on. Let's not have failure of the elders here. I know practically it's not going to come from us. They're going to be the change, aren't they? Because it's going to be in their hands. But I have to say, when they look to the elders and they look to the baby boomers for inspiration, what are the baby boomers saying back? Just buy yourself a nice house, and the property ladder will help you out like it did with us. No, that's not happening, is it? Get yourself a job and the corporation will look after you like it did us and give you a full salary pension at the end. No, that's not happening either. And I don't want to paint these people as victims because they're not. I'm not keen on victim mentality. But I think us elders and elders to be, I think there is an emphasis, a responsibility for us to step up and say, look, come on. Yeah, it's not brilliant. Mistakes have been made. You've had it tough. there are other ways. And there are other ways. Come on, let's face it. Also, Carl says, Andrew, we shouldn't overpromise. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The overpromising. DJ says, "Hola, bon dia." I'm wondering if you're wondering what you've just stepped into. Not saying they are perfect here, just not as bad. I would agree with you on that, Pam, from my perception of it. But then again, we grew up, didn't we, with the establishment in the UK and seeing the effects of that. But I'm with you all the way on that. It does seem better here. It does seem like there's more of an open discourse, and that the establishment seems less than it does in the UK, perhaps. For Portugal, for example, a new 25th of April is needed, but that's me. One that is tired of all the BS politicians say and do when they promise or act something. Well, okay. The key to another April 25th is mobilization of people, isn't it? Of ideas and people. It's not just going to happen out of nowhere, is it? It's people have to organize themselves for something like this to happen. If someone wants to occupy a political or important position, start by a law that controls their bank accounts and other important resources during the time they occupy that position and 5 years after. Okay, so yes, a lot more accountability and transparency. I suspect you're proposing there, Ludwig. Thank you. The baby boomers are all buggering off to Portugal. Funny because it's true. That is a painfully true comment, Stephen. Well said. 25th of April, also Anzac Day for Aussies and Kiwis, an Independence Day of sorts from colonial military subservience. A point well made there by D. Portugal is the answer for the younger cohort. Give them the opportunity to buy an affordable piece of land where they can grow their food and live a sustainable lifestyle. Connect them with real life. A kind of 40 acres and a mule kind of vibe there. The land parcel thing I like that idea. I really do, DJ, because there's all sorts of renewal in that, isn't there? Reconnecting them with real life, with the land, with nature, but obviously supporting them in that process. Taking people from the city life and modern life, postmodern life, and bunging them in the countryside with some sort of romantic ideal is not going to work very well, is it? People will be turning on each other in no time. That is a great idea, and I think it needs to be well supported. And Central Portugal has the most beautiful backdrop for Renaissance regeneration. Great idea, DJ. That's right up my street, that is. Remember the Italian Job? Camp Freddy, everybody in the world is bent, says Camp Freddy. Was that Benny Hill who played that part? Just as a little side note there. Young people also have access to cryptocurrency for the first time in history. The ordinary citizen, rather than people in power, can have the opportunity to control their money and gain real wealth. And along with that, continue. The great thing about crypto and the blockchain is I don't think many politicians understand what's going on, and the people should take advantage of that right now. Okay, and last comment here to Pam. The young people I know here give me faith in the future, politically aware and engaged, and not afraid to speak up. Yes, great to hear it, Pam. They are perhaps a beacon to young people. Yeah, I'm impressed when I've worked in the local school here. When I've met young Portuguese people, they are full of not full of themselves. Some of them are full of themselves, obviously, and that's all part of being young. But they do have a polite confidence about them and a good political societal consciousness. I think that's a lot to do with the associations and family life in Portugal. Yeah, there's me maybe Pollyannaing it again, but yeah, I am impressed with young people in Portugal, as you seem to be as well, Pam. Noel Coward, not Benny Hill. Quite a difference, really, isn't there? Thank you, Andrew Gilchrist. Camp Freddy, played by Noel Coward. It is, of course, the Self-Preservation Society. I'm going to take that reference there, the Self-Preservation Society, which I think Quincy Jones wrote. We're getting kind of bizarre and geeky and nichey now. But you remember the song, The Self-Preservation Society in The Italian Job? I think we can take The Italian Job now as a great metaphor for where we are in human history, particularly in Europe. The song goes, with the Self-Preservation Society, and what happens? Out of some greed and corruption of its own kind, some theft, a coach is poised, balanced on a mountain, on a windy mountain road. And each time the men, I'm ruining the film if you haven't seen it, but each time the men reach greedily for their wealth, they risk falling off the edge of a cliff. Is that where we are? Can we get the coach back on the road And can we change the song from the Self-Preservation Society into something entirely more ennobling for humanity and as our legacy to anyone under 44? Take care. Bye for now. Have a great day. Thanks for being here this morning. It's been a fabulous discussion from my point of view. I hope you think so too. And we'll see you tomorrow for Ask Anything About Portugal. The Doc's in tomorrow, folks. Yep, Andy the Doc Thompson reporting from a lay-by near a forest in Portugal somewhere. Take care. Bye for now.